Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening if you are listening. I'm going to talk about the ministry of the Commonwealth Parliament of Australia. Now, what is the ministry? Well, these people are appointed by the so-called Prime Minister, which in fact is not subject to the Constitution. That is the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. Also, these ministries are not consistent with Section 5.1 of the Constitution. Now, this is the page that I have copied from the Herald Sun, and that is the ministry. This is Section 5.1 of the Constitution. I go through the Constitution in a basic form, and this is Section 5.1 of the Constitution. Now, I will put this on my website so that you can see it, and it's really worthwhile learning about Section 5.1 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution. Why? Because Section 5.1 is powers of the Parliament, and the Parliament only has the jurisdiction to make laws subject to those 39 subsections. And also, it is in my opinion that a ministry can only be formed subject to those 39 subsections of Section 5.1. That's Chapter 1, Section 5.1. If the ministry does not or cannot be or is not compatible with Section 5.1, well, in my opinion, that ministry or minister ministry should not be allowed by the Prime Minister or mainly the Governor General, because under the Section 61, Chapter 2, the Governor General is supposed to look after that and to make sure that these members of Parliament adhere to the Constitution, that is, in obedience to the Constitution. And I have not seen any Governor General, even though I wasn't alive back in 1900, but I have not seen any Governor General take his look at the Section 51 and do his job as according to Section 5.1, Section 6.1. Also, I have written twice to the Queen for her help in making the Governor General look after to do the job that they are supposed to do under Section 6.1. 6.1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And they don't do it. And it appears that they go along with them in what they're doing. So, in my opinion, there are a number of these people in the ministry who are not compatible with the Constitution. A number of those people say there's nothing in the Constitution about a treasurer. Would you believe that? There is nothing in the Constitution about a Prime Minister. Would you believe that? But of course, people are so dumbed down by the media, well, now they're calling Julia Gillard's boyfriend the top bloke. Well, you know, if you knew what the Constitution says, you would call that a lot of rubbish. And that's what I'm saying. And that's not only my opinion, but it's also in the Constitution, where there is no such thing as a top bloke. And that person cannot be the top bloke, and neither can the Prime Minister be the top job. Because the top job is the Governor General. The Governor General, there is nobody above the Governor General in the Constitution. And it makes it very clear. Section 126 makes it very clear that nobody shall be over the Governor General. So if anybody's the top bloke, it would be the Governor General's husband. As you may realise, the Governor General is a woman and her husband is a male person. So he would be the top bloke. And this bloke who is the boyfriend of Julia Gillard is not even married to her. So the media are doing all these things that are not consistent with the Constitution. But how many of you people would know this if you don't know the Constitution, are not interested in the Constitution? You're not interested in the Queen, well, that's all right. If you don't want to be interested in the Queen, that's okay. But you must keep this Constitution going, because if you don't, we would be in big trouble, and we will be in big trouble. I'm going to say this also. There is nothing in the Constitution that refers to carbon or anything to do with the environment. I suppose it wasn't even thought about in those days, back in 1900. This is why the people of Australia are constantly, every day of the week, almost anyway, where the media keep on pushing these things, and they got this Prime Minister travelling around the place looking like she's doing a lot of work, when in fact she's not doing anything. I call the journalists vacuum cleaners, because as you know, if anybody's cleaning a room, they always pull the vacuum cleaner with them as they go along. And that's exactly what these journalists are doing when they follow this Prime Minister or anybody in the government. They just follow them around the country, around the world. They are there with them, reporting them, showing their pictures, doing this and doing that. It's unbelievable how these people are fast becoming TV stars. Little wonder why the kids are looking up to them, and they should not be looking up to them. They should be kicking them in the shins, because they are not subject to the Constitution. Section 7 and Section 24 in Chapter 1 clearly says that the members of the Parliament shall be the representatives of and directly chosen by the people. Directly chosen is different to being directly elected. The people elect them, yes, but the political parties directly choose those candidates. They are directly under the political parties, not the people. Little wonder why they don't give a damn about the people, because they have not been directly chosen by the people. That's why they don't represent them. But I'm disappointed with the existing independents in Parliament at this moment are not consistent with what they should be doing, because they are and were directly chosen by the people. So they are the representatives of the people, but they're not fulfilling that role. And if they go to ignore the Constitution, my opinion of this could be that they could be like terrorists. They are sabotaging the Constitution by doing what they're doing, because they had no right under the Constitution to make a decision as to what government was going to be in power. If we had a government and parliament based on the Constitution, we would never have a hung parliament. And it seems to me that every now and then they must introduce a new tax system. The GST, now they've got emission trading. They call it a tax. Well, even though it's a tax, subject to subsection 2 of section 51, it's still a tax, but there is no such thing as a carbon tax. So, in my opinion, that tax would not be legal. We could not pay the tax under that word, under that heading. I'm going to ask you people in Australia to please get behind the people's mandate and know your rights and know what this Constitution says. Don't push it aside. It doesn't matter about the Queen. Don't worry about that. It's not the Queen that we've got that's of any importance. It's the Constitution that we have and the power that we have under that Constitution. Not only do we have that Constitution, but we also have some certain acts of Parliament which the judiciary, such as the magistrates and the justices and the judges of the Magistrate Court or the Supreme Court or the High Court, they will always go along with acts of Parliament or legislation. Therefore, we have the Crimes Act 1914, the Criminal Code Act 95, the Evidence Act, the Acts, the Interpretations Act, Section 15A, which goes in line with Section 109 of the Constitution. We have all these things in our power. So don't push aside the Constitution. It doesn't matter if you push aside the Queen. Don't worry about that. You can do that. But stick with the Constitution because it is your protection. Thank you.